My belief is indifference with a pastor is the endorsement of an issue. If we say nothing, our members then get the idea that it's all right.
Do you, and I'm assuming that you do get pushback because you've made political statements,
Yes.
or I'll say statements that are against political parties. Like you said, you're an independent, so you don't have, this fear of offending either party because you're God's man. How do you answer the people who push back on you for being too political or for making political comments?
37 of the 39 books of the Old Testament was written to, about, or on the behalf of some political figure. You cannot stand for God and not speak to the issues of our time. What we're witnessing, we're not witnessing the church intruding into the world of politics. We're witnessing the world of politics intruding on the sacred grounds of the church. I give you an example. Marriage belonged to the church. I think it was in the middle 1800s when the government got involved in it and they taxed it to get money. But marriage belonged to the church. Well, here comes President Obama and others who decided that they were going to redefine marriage. Now, you know, and I know that when God defined marriage, God brought Eve to Adam, and Moses wrote in a commentary and said, "For this cause shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife." Man, leave father and mother and cleave to wife, and they two shall be one flesh. Marriage was the sole domain of the church. Now, what gave the Supreme Court, President Obama, or any political figure or any political group the right to redefine marriage? So now it no longer, by legal definition, it's no longer a union between a man and a woman, even though that's what it is in the eyes of God, and that's what it will always be. But now it's a union between two men or two women or various combinations. Well, they intruded on our sacred ground, our sacred space, and I think that the church should push back. You know, and I know that God said to the prophet Jeremiah, before I formed thee in the womb, I knew thee. Now, before God put Jeremiah in the womb, God was aware of him. David tells us in Psalms 39 that while we're being formed in the womb of the mother, that God writes out our script. So now how is it that man can legalize abortion? And I know Roe was voted into law for 1973, and it was the law of the land for 50 years, but America is 246 years old. So that means for 196 of those years or so, if my math is correct, it was not the law of the land, and we got along just fine. So then they passed the law and made it legal to kill unborn human beings. And God, the Bible speaks to human beings in the womb, in God's mind, and human beings on the earth. Now, just because the politician entered into this space, if you will, I don't think that should mean that the church should surrender this space to the politician. I believe that we should push back. Thank God Roe was overturned, but you know, and I know, I wish it meant the end of abortion, but no, all it means now is they're going to send it back to the states. But there are those who are pushing it and making it a front and center political issue. And if the church says nothing, if the pastors are silent, my belief is indifference with a pastor is the endorsement of an issue. If we say nothing, our members then get the idea that it's all right. So we have to speak up. And when you look at what's going on with this transgender movement, well, the Bible says that God made them male and female. Now, there's only two sexes. The word gender originally was used to apply to words, not people. So there are two sexes, male and female. And now we're trying to get people to play the game, to participate in this charade where we're actually referring to a he as a she and a she as a he. And there are those who are in politics who are making this a campaign issue. Well, shouldn't we as a church say, wait a minute, this is black and white, bottom basement Christianity. God made them male and God made them female. So we're clashing, but we didn't start the fight. The world is invading on the church. A friend of mine told me, he said, Wooden, you cannot legislate your morality. But we're not seeing the legislation of morality. Morality is already legislated. What we're seeing is the legislation of immorality. Wickedness is being codified into law. And the Bible teaches that no one will have fellowship with God who formeth mischief by a law. So the church has to say something.